Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Oh gosh, it's been such a long time since I've sat down and made an IMG International Medical Graduate Journey kind of related video. If you're new here and this is the first video you're watching, then hi, my name is Monisha. I'm originally from India and I moved to the UK to pursue my dream of becoming a psychiatrist, and I'm currently towards the tail end of my core training. Oh my goodness. I look back to 2020 videos and I'll maybe play one now here where I've said that, oh, I am a CT1 or I'm a CT2. Co-trainee in the specialty psychiatry here in London. Co-training in the specialty psychiatry here in London. I'm currently CT1, that is my co-training in the specialty psychiatry. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. So today's video is about CREST form. A lot of you guys have DM'd me, asked me lots of times during my Instagram Q&As, what are CREST forms? What is it about? You have also sent in lots and lots of questions regarding that. So at the beginning, I'm going to talk everything about CREST form and then address any of your questions that you have. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. All right, hold on. Before we get right into the video, I have noticed in my analytics or the statistics of my YouTube channel that lots and lots of you, nearly 60% of you guys who watch my videos haven't yet subscribed to my channel. It doesn't take much time. Promise you it takes literally 5 seconds. It doesn't cost any money. If you can support this channel, then it would mean a lot to me because it pushes me and motivates me. And it's also nice to have this kind of a community wherein, you know, sort of help each other. Okay, no more wasting time. Back into the video. Alright, so first off, before I get into the CREST form, this is the perfect and the most right time to be applying for training in the UK because there is no longer RLMT. What does RLMT stand for? I'm going to put the full form of it over here because I can't remember it. I have to look into my phone. It's called Resident Labour Market Test. This was designed by the Home Office many years back in the UK where they would prioritize UK citizens or UK residents to be able to apply for training first, or they would be given preference, which has been removed over the last few years. So everybody, whether you're an international medical graduate or you're somebody from the UK or Europe or wherever else, we are all at the same level when applying for training. I don't know for how long this is going to last, but it's been the case for the last few years. So I think this is the most right time for you to be entering UK, whether you want to do a non-training job or training job, or, you know, however, you're basically at par with someone from the UK. All right, right off the bat, what does CREST form stand for? Certificate of Readiness to Enter Specialty Training. Almost all specialties require this form, so this is the most important piece of document that you require prior to applying for training. So why do you require CREST form? Like I said, you require it because you need to be able to apply for training. Also, what it tests or sees is basically these are the GMC, General Medical Council, good practice guidelines or standards, and they want to assess if you meet these criteria for you to be eligible to be applying for training. And some of the criteria include like good clinical care, good medical practice, good relationships and communication with patients, good working relationships with colleagues, good teaching and training, professional behavior and probity, delivery of good acute clinical care. So these are all the domains under which GMC tests that is this person eligible to be applying for training in the UK or not. So the next part is how would you show that you meet these good clinical standards that are listed by GMC? There are a few ways going forward with it. Number one, if you're already in a foundation training in the UK wherein you're doing your FY1, FY2, which is a training program, you do not need the CREST form because at the end of your FY1, FY2, you would be having something called the ARCP, and the competencies and the certificate you get is basically equivalent to your CREST form. So you don't have to go through the CREST form if you're doing your UK foundation program training. So if you're doing that, this is not the video for you. You don't have to worry about CREST form at all. All right, number two, if you're already in a specialty training program, say for example, you're currently doing your specialty training in general practice, basically GP, and now you plan on applying for IMT, which is for internal medicine, then you do not need to do a CREST form because the fact that you're already in GP training, you have a national training number, which is your NTN. The fact that you're already in a training program and now want to switch specialties to be doing your training in some other specialty, you have to go through the entire process of applying for the other specialty, say in this case, for example, internal medicine. You do not need a CREST form for it because it's kind of taken that the fact that you got into training in the first place, you would have had that in place. So don't have to worry about CREST form if you're already in a specialty training program and are planning on switching specialties. The third third category are the people who are basically IMGs or international medical graduates, and this is the video for them because you require CREST form to be applying for your training program, which is your specialty training program, and you would fall into the category wherein you haven't done a foundation training program in the last 3.5 years. Also, that the fact that you're not in a specialty training program currently, then you would require to submit something called the CREST form, which is your certificate of readiness for entering specialty training. I always mess up this name and I have to think in my head before I say it. So what does a CREST form look like? Where can you find it? I will leave a link down below where you can download the CREST form, but also I will put it up here, on the left side of the screen, where you can see, basically I'll scroll through the pages so that you can have a look of what it kind of looks like for you. Say for example, you've already signed your CREST form in the last few years where you were applying for specialty training, but your specialty training application wasn't successful for whatever reasons, or you did not get the deanery or the trust you wanted or the city you wanted, and you obviously haven't accepted a specialty training program and you're reapplying now this year. So would your past CREST forms that you've gotten signed off in the last few years still be applicable? So there's a caveat over here. Any CREST form prior to the 2021 CREST form is not applicable. So if you got your 2020 CREST form signed, then it's no longer applicable. But having said that, if you've gotten your CREST form, which is the 2021 CREST form signed, then that's still applicable for you to be applying for specialty training. So the next question is, who can sign this CREST form for you? There are a few criteria over here. Number one, someone who has observed you or someone who you worked with for at least 3 continuous months. You could not have worked with someone for a month and they cannot sign your CREST form. You should have worked with them for minimum of 3 months. So the second thing is that these 3 continuous months should have taken place in the last 3.5 years of you starting your specialty training program. So you couldn't have done this 3 months with someone, say 4 years back. That will not be accepted. So it should be 3.5 years prior to you starting your training. It needs to be for minimum of 3 months that you should have worked with them for them to be eligible to sign your CREST form. Okay, another note over here is that no kind of clinical attachments, unpaid work, volunteering, etc. doesn't count. If you've done all of these bits under someone for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, they cannot be signing your CREST form because it's not eligible again. Okay, something that a lot of you guys ask me is that, can you get this CREST form signed from your home country? Yes, you can get it signed from your home country by a consultant, but there are a few caveats over here. Number one, this person needs to be registered and it doesn't have to be GMC. So if you're somebody from India, then they could be signed with their, state body or the national body or whatever, but they need to provide proof of that. When you submit your CREST form, you also need to submit proof of their license, their details of where they're registered with. If it's in a language which is not in English, then they need to provide official translation documents for that. And if all of these things are not provided along with your CREST form, if you're signing it from somebody back in your home country, then your CREST form again is going to be void. Sometimes, a lot of the segments or domains in the CREST form, they wouldn't have directly observed you, which is fine, but they can still sign it off saying that, evidence received means that someone else has observed and you've received the evidence, but that evidence also needs to be provided with that, and it has to be someone who's above ST5 and above. It couldn't be a nurse who's observed you doing it. That doesn't count. So it has to be someone who's ST5 and above for them to be signing that off. And like I said, that evidence needs to be provided and the details of the person who's observed you and now who's signing you off. So everybody's details need to be provided along with your CREST form. The next caveat is that if at any point GMC finds that, you've done some kind of a locha or some kind of a jugaad, or you've just gone, I don't know, like you found different ways of getting this signed off, then there will be strict action taken against you and also the person who's signing, and if someone else has provided evidence, etc. So you should do it the right way, and please don't be dishonest while getting your CREST form signed off. The other thing is that at the end of the CREST form, when this consultant is signing it, they need to provide their name and their email address and stuff like that. They cannot provide their personal email address. It has to be organizational email address, like how we have our email addresses here, .nhs.uk or .nhs.com or .nhs.net or whatever. So it has to be an organizational email address. It cannot be Gmail, Yahoo or Hotmail. Also, when they put their stamp, it just cannot mention the details of their name and the job title. The stamp of the hospital has to have the details details of the hospital on the stamp, an address. So basically the stamp has to be of the hospital and not their personal stamp with their name and just their job title in it. The next thing is you need at least 2 years of experience before you apply for your training programs. Your 1 year of internship back in your home country, for example in India, is counted towards it. The other year could be if you've done a non-training job here in the UK, or you've worked as a JR in India. So in total it needs to add up to 2 years before you get into your training program. Alright, so now I'm going to speak a bit about my own experience back in 2019 when I was working towards getting my CREST form signed off, and these are the tips that worked for me, and these are the tips for you, whether you want to use it or not, it's up to you. Tip number 1 is being proactive. No one is sat there waiting for you to get your CREST form signed off. It's up to you. You need to take responsibility. You need to be really proactive. Quite early on in your job, this is especially if you're getting it signed off in the UK, quite early on in the job when you start as a non-trainee, this is the first job in the NHS, right at the beginning, discuss your CREST form with your educational supervisor or your clinical supervisor. Within my first week of starting in the NHS, I discussed about it with my educational supervisor, who happened to also be my clinical supervisor. But anyway, so I discussed with him that this is my goal. I plan on doing psychiatry training here in the UK. I need to get my CREST form signed off for that. The application window was opening sometime later half of the year. I started in January, and I told them that I have 8 months, but I'm letting you know that this is the form that I need to get signed off to be eligible, and can we work towards it in the next few months? Yeah, so you need to take charge of it. No one else is responsible for getting your paperwork signed off. The third thing that really worked for me was that sometimes it's not possible to get bits and pieces, especially different domains of it, signed off within your 9 to 5 job. So you might have to stay beyond 5 p.m. Some of the procedures, like with the consultant, had their own responsibilities between 9 to 5. They're not chasing you to stand there to observe you doing things. They have their own bits and pieces to do. But then I would discuss with my consultant maybe a few days or weeks in advance, which is their, relaxed day in their clinics or relaxed day at work for them. They have admin days, and then I would request them that, can you please stay back post 5 p.m. to observe me do this? So you need to discuss that with your consultant. You need to find ways, whether it's your consultant or any other consultant in the team, you need to find your ways. I cannot stress this enough. Like, people think that they're going to come here and someone is sat there for you to be doing these bits for you. No one is responsible for you to get your shit done. You need to do these things on your own. So the other thing that worked for me is staying past 5 p.m. on certain days to get this form signed off by my consultant. The other thing is that only one consultant doesn't have to sign everything off. So sometimes, like I said, you can always reach out to another consultant in the team or another consultant in another team and request them that, would you be able to please observe me, or would you be able to sign this off for me? If you've done something with some other consultant, seen a patient or done something, and then you can discuss with them that, would you be able to sign this part for me? If they see you're being proactive and the fact that you are competent, they will sign it off for you. They're not going to make a fuss about it, but you need to take that extra step. You need to take the initiative. Once you take the initiative and they see that you need to get things done, they are right there to help you. But that first initial initiative that needs to be taken has to be from your end. So these are all the bits about CREST form. So let's dive into the Q&A. The first question is how to get CREST form signed off outside of England. Like I said, you can get it signed off back in your home country, but you should have done 3 continuous months with this consultant, and it should have been in the last 3.5 years, and they can sign it off for you. But they also need to provide evidence from their own end about their own registration and their own details and everything. I've talked about it in the first part of the video. You know the drill now. How to get CREST form. So I will leave a link down below. You can click on that link and get the latest CREST form, which is the 2021 CREST form. Please don't come at me saying it's 2023 and it's still 2021 CREST form. That is what is still being accepted. As of when I'm filming this video, which is 12th of February, the rules haven't changed. But if the rules change from here on, then I will film another video, or I will change the details in my description box. But for now, it's still the 2021 CREST form. Once you're eligible for full registration, how does CREST form work? Like I said, the full registration has nothing to do with CREST form. Once you get your GMC registration, you start applying for jobs. If you're somebody who's struggling with that, I have got an at-length video on Skillshare. I will link that down below in my description box. You can go and watch it. If you click on that link, you get 1 month subscription of Skillshare free, and that also means you can watch the video. But you can watch the video how to improve improve your CV if you are just right out of your MBBS. So that's to do with your GMC registration, finding a job, getting your visa to move here to the UK. That's got nothing to do with your CREST form. The CREST form comes into picture once you decide on applying for specialty training for which you need your CREST form. Can I apply for residency right away after I get my CREST form signed off? It's not that one fine day you wake up and you want to get your CREST form signed off and you get signed off and you enter into training. That's not how it works. Throughout the year, there are different times of the year when the application window to apply for specialty training opens. It's different for each and every specialty. So there will be a time when the application window will open. That's when you apply. So you should have had your CREST form signed off by then. And then you apply, and then you have, your MSRA exam. Some specialties have interviews, and then you have your shortlisting where you rank the trusts or the cities how you want it, and then you get offered the training job, and then you accept it, then your visa work needs to be done. All this process takes months before you start your training program. And the two times of the year when training begins in the UK are February and August. So August 2023, the window's already closed. It opened in December, at least for psychiatry is what I'm talking about. All the processes already started, and people would start getting their offers for training in the next few weeks or next months, and that's how it works. So you need to plan quite far in advance for next year. If you want to enter higher training or specialty training or core training next year, the window is going to open in the next few months, and it's only going to be open for 4 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever the period is. Having said that, getting CREST form doesn't mean you've gotten into training or you've applied for training. It's just one of the steps that is required to be able to apply for training. It's quite a long process, but it's a very straightforward process. It's not rocket science. But yeah, CREST form is one of the things that you need to be able to apply. Also, CREST form is not the only thing that you require, or is not the only eligibility criteria to apply for training. But yeah, one of the main things for core training would be your CREST form in a lot of specialties, not all the specialties. Can the same consultant sign our English proficiency form? What do you mean by that? When you mean English proficiency form, do you mean your IELTS or UKVI? No consultant can sign you off. You need to give your exams, your proficiency exams, English proficiency test to be eligible to apply for PLAB 1, PLAB 2. You only need your English test for your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. You do not need it for core training, higher training, or Alright, so the next thing is validity of CREST form. So the form itself doesn't have its validity unless there's a new form available. Like I said, the 2021 CREST form is still that is applicable. But like I said, you cannot vouch for the work that you've done 3.5 years back to get that signed off for your CREST form. So then the work that you've done, or someone signing your CREST form should have observed you doing things in the last 3.5 years. So say for example, if you're applying for training in 2025, then the work you've done in 2021, although it's a CREST form 2021, is not something that's applicable. Does that make sense? The form is what that remains same unless there's a new form that comes into place. But the work that you've done for someone to sign you off should be in the last 3.5 years. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so if I have CREST form signed in India, can I skip working in the UK and directly apply for IMT? I'm so confused. If you get your CREST form signed in India, you are applying for IMT, or whatever you're applying for, IMT or GP or radiology or psychiatry or whatever. How can you skip working in the UK? When you do apply for any of these things, you will be working. Or do you mean that skip working as a non-training job? Do you mean? Something that I wanted to say here is that I would not recommend any international medical graduate to directly enter training without having worked in the UK as a non-trainee. That is just my recommendation. Whether you want to take this advice or not is completely up to you. It's not that I'm saying that you're not capable enough, or your medical knowledge is not great, or you do not have the skills, or you don't have the handset or the mindset to practice medicine. You are much more and well equipped being a doctor in India. But it's not just about your knowledge that is important when you're working in the UK. There are lots and lots of other moving wheels, and if you go straight into training, that's the level that they expect from you. My small little advice is that if you want to take it or not, like I said, it's completely up to you. But anybody who knows me personally, or anyone who talks to me directly, I always say, please do a non-training job, even if it's for 6 months. Please please do a non-training job, and clinical attachment doesn't count as one. Just observing someone doesn't count as one. Unless and until you do your own part as a trainee or non-trainee, please do not directly jump into co-training or higher training, and especially please don't directly apply for like higher training as ST4, ST5 in training without having done a non-trainee ST4, ST5 job. Please directly don't jump into that. I completely understand if you worked in your home country as a resident, if you've completed your Royal College exams and everything, all that is great, but still I would advise do at least 6 months of non-training in the UK before you apply for any sort of training job. Do you need to work for an entire year to get your CREST form signed? No, you don't. Like I said, 3 months is the duration that someone should have observed you or you would have worked with for them to be eligible to sign you off. Do we need to get CREST form signed by every consultant, or CREST from anyone is fine? You don't have to get it signed off from each and every consultant in the team. It can be just one consultant signing off the entire form, but there can be parts of it signed by different consultants, like different domains. That is completely fine, but each domain doesn't have to be signed off by multiple consultants. Do you need it again from core training to specialty training? No, you don't. Is it 100% guaranteed that we can get CREST forms signed after a non-training job? No, it's not 100% guaranteed. Like I said, you need to work for it and you need to chase your consultants to get it signed off. When I say chase, I don't literally mean that you're going to be after them. You need to just follow up with them to be like, I need this signed off. But it's not 100% guaranteed, because like I said, no one sat there waiting for you to get the form to you. You need to take the form to them and discuss it with them and get it signed off. Do I need CREST form if I've completed my 12 months internship in India? Yes, you do. Here the foundation training is for 2 years. Equivalent of that in India, we just have it for 1 year. We don't have it for 2 years because you're not going to be doing your UK foundation program here. You will require your CREST form. You would also require 1 year extra post your internship in India. Hey, does my CREST form have to be signed by the time of application or interview? It has to be signed off by the time of your application. How do I get it signed if I'm working in the UK in a non-training job? I was working in a non-training job. It's more than doable. You just have to plan it out, be proactive about it. When you say how, like I said, talk to your consultant, discuss with them quite early on, stay back post 5 p.m. for them to observe you or get parts of it signed off. The main part are the procedures that they need to observe you. The rest of it is like good clinical care and communications and things like that that they would be observing you for those 3 months anyway. The procedures part are the ones that need to be planned. Make a diary, plan out which are the dates that work best for the consultants or different consultants. Look into your diary and plan it out accordingly. It's completely doable. Will the consultant sign it easily for an IMG, or is it difficult? I can only speak from my experience and other people's experiences who are also obviously international medical graduates acquiring CREST form sign off. Nobody has ever struggled to get the CREST form signed off. Everybody who's gotten it done and is currently in training, I'm sure lots of you follow them on Instagram as well, are people who are proactive and have looked at it and have planned it smartly and figured out ways of getting it signed off by the consultant because they've discussed it with the consultant or planned it ahead. It's not difficult, but having said that, that doesn't mean it's easy. You just have to be a bit more responsible. Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of this video. I hope I've answered all your questions about CREST form. If you have any other questions about CREST form, then please do drop it down in the comment section below and I'll try and reply to them. If not, then I'll make another video going through the questions because that's the easiest way. The reason I don't respond to a lot of the comments is because I might answer to one person and then the same thing gets asked in another video by some other person. So I might as well just make one video and then everybody gets their answers with that and I don't have to repeat myself answering the same thing to everybody else. I hope that's made sense. I was a bit of a rant kind of a thing there. But yeah, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, then please do like the video and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm working towards reaching my next goal on YouTube, which is 50,000 subscribers. So hopefully you can contribute in any little way that you can. And there are lots and lots of links in my description box, links to useful videos and any useful products that you want. Also, you know, videos on other websites like on Skillshare. And I hope you're looking after yourself and your loved ones. And this is the end of the video. If you have any other suggestions with regards to what other content I should be making for IMGs, drop it down again in the comment section below. Look after yourself and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.